Alexis Nunes here alongside James Olley. We're looking at West Ham up against Chelsea, a nice little London showdown, although the Hammers are just hovering over the relegation zone, James, just on goal difference. Chelsea, complete opposite, of course. They've been flying and looking very, very, very good. So how do you expect this one going? Has to go Chelsea's way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to see anything other than a Chelsea win from the point of view of the form of the two teams, but also, of course, the absence of fans will really kind of draw the sting from this one from a Chelsea point of view. Um, it's hard not to be extremely impressed with the way Chelsea have gone about their business since the restart. They've been consistent. There's been a high level. And also, and you've had contributions from players who, there was a chance that Willian wasn't even going to be at the club for this game. He played well against City, scored, of course, the winning goal from the penalty spot, and has played the key role that I think Lampard hoped he would in the coming weeks. So, yeah, I mean, they've got several players in form. We know Pulisic's a slight injury doubt. He came off against Leicester in the FA Cup with a tightness in his calf. It doesn't sound like it's a serious injury, but it might be one that keeps him out against West Ham. We'll have to wait and see. But he'll surely play a key part in the running if he's fit again, because he's arguably in the best form of the lot at the moment.
Well, you mentioned Willian, of course. There have been a lot of, rumors swirling about him and whether he's going to leave the club or not. He even, I suppose, finally did speak up and recently just said that, maybe he'll be here, maybe he won't. So what are you expecting there? Is there any updates?
Well, this is a difficult one because the difference, I suppose, is that the player doesn't actually want to leave. He's made it quite clear that he wants to stay. He's happy in London. He loves the club. But he wants a 3-year contract, and Chelsea are only prepared to offer him a 2-year deal. Now, the coronavirus has complicated football in so many different ways, but this is an area where I think clubs have looked at it and thought, do we need to reassess the sort of policy that a lot of them have about certain deals lengths for players over 30 years of age? Because normally you'd say, okay, there's a lot of clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, who would only offer 1, maybe 2 years in an extreme situation. To a player of that age, because there's no resale value and they'd rather look somewhere else in the market. Well, the market is so uncertain now that actually it almost flips on its head, and it sort of says, well, can you afford to dispense with the services of a player who knows the club inside out, who is still playing at a very high level, highly respected by the manager and the squad, has a bit of a mixed reputation among fans, if we're honest, but I think on balance would probably like to see him stay rather than go, particularly if he was to go to a rival. Obviously, Arsenal and Tottenham are the two clubs that have been most linked with him. So there's, again, I think a bit of an assessment going on in terms of whether Chelsea could stretch to that 3rd year, whether they maybe go to 2 years with an option for a 3rd. And really, the other situation, or the other angle of it, is whether, similarly, Tottenham and Arsenal, who have talked to Willians' representatives about a deal, whether they think, actually, shall we give him the 3rd year? Shall we stump up a 3-year contract? Because he's a free transfer and he represents value in a market where extracting that value is going to be very difficult.
And in terms of coming in now, I suppose it's kind of fitting when we're talking about this West Ham clash. We've heard rumours of Declan Rice being linked with Chelsea, as well as Manchester United's Angel Gomez. We know Frank Lampard has kind of played it down. Is there anything more to those?
Well, they are looking for a central midfielder. They have scouted a number of players in that position, and Declan Rice makes a lot of sense from the point of view that he was at the Chelsea academy. He's very, very good friends with Mason Mount, and Frank Lampard, knows him and respects him as a player. I don't think it's a particular priority of theirs at the moment, and Frank's been quite specific insofar as distancing the club from any sort of move for him this summer. We know that they're in the market for another attacking player. Kai Havertz is the top name there, and they are trying to sign Ben Chilwell from Leicester. I think those two are being pursued with far more urgency than the central midfield picture, because at least if you look at that area of the team, they do actually have quite a few options there, particularly with the emergence of Billy Gilmour. With Kante going to play in that deeper role as well. If you assume that it was a 4-3-3 system with Rice playing as the anchor, as the holding midfielder, well, they've got Billy Gilmour there, they've got Kante there, and they've got Jorginho there. So it's not a position that's necessarily urgent. I think if they were to decide to cash in on one of those three, Billy Gilmour they really like, so I don't see that happening. There's been a bit of talk about Kante. Lampard's dismissed that. Jorginho is another one that doesn't. That one, potentially, if there was a serious offer that came for him, I wonder whether Jorginho might be a little bit more likely than Kante. But my understanding is that they want to keep those three players. So if they do keep them, it's hard to see where Declan Rice necessarily fits in, particularly if you're spending money on other areas of the team, and you've already spent quite a lot on Ziyech and Werner.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.